Hello and welcome to Dave Makes Stuff. If you want to hear about lockdowns and social distancing and all that lot, that's what the news is for. If you want not to hear about all of that stuff, we've got an Audi TT off-roader in need of a suspension lift. So far, adding big wheels has given us a bit of a suspension lift, but it's still a coupe and not an off-roader. We need to extend these struts by about 3 inches, but no way am I welding on something that's full of oil. So, time to turn something out of bar stock that we can bolt onto the bottom of the strut to increase its length. I could chop this on the lathe, but where would be the fun in that? Besides, the grinder's quicker. Much as I love the grinder, it's not that precise, so we need the lathe next. It's a straightforward concept. One end clamps around the bottom of the suspension strut, while the other end plugs into the hub. So the first thing we need to do is to make this end look like the strut at about 50mm diameter. Then we can plug it into the socket in the suspension upright that the strut would normally bolt into. Quickly face it off just to square up the angle grinder cut end. Now, future Dave does not want to be shouting and waving hammers at 2 badly rusted bits, so we'll stick a drain hole in so that it doesn't accumulate water and everything rust together. And that's the plug part completed. So no prizes, socket part comes next. This is mostly a story of drills, from small to medium to massive to blimey, I didn't realise I had one of those. Eventually, alas, I ran out of drills, and after that the next stage is boring, which is a joke you're very welcome to put in, say, someone else's comments. So this end needs boring out until it's big enough that the suspension strut can be slotted in. It's quite a slow process, and done manually gets really tedious after a while, and finally inspired me to get off my backside and connect up the power feed on this lathe, as I should have done ages ago. Now this powered traverse is very straightforward, very standard. The idea is that it drives through this set of gears. Said gears are making fairly alarming clanking noises because I'd not set it up quite right by this point. And when you come back here, if I pull this lever, if I pull this lever, it starts moving the tool of its own accord, which is handy. So you get nice, even, steady cuts without having to wind the handle like a madman. It is a massive improvement, and I really should have reassembled that a long time ago. Anyway, as it is, it's way too stiff to be clamped around the outside of the strut, so we need to cut a slot in it first. Here I'm just trimming it slightly so that it clears various bits and pieces once it's fitted, and then boom! Bolted flange appears, out of nowhere apparently, and gets welded on. Given that they're obviously safety critical, both the flange and the weld are big and, well, I was going to say thick, let's try robust. I've been called worse. Anyway, welding tends to distort things, so it's sensible to wait until after welding to turn it to its final size. And then a coat of primer, and we've got something that looks like an extra long strut ready to go into an extra long suspension assembly. The optimistic version of fitting suspension can be found in the Haynes manual. Never seems to include the words, "belt the daylights out of it." So I'll spare you the details, but suffice it to say that when we're done, we've gone from something that looks like normal height to having 30 centimetres of ground clearance under the sump, or to put it another way, you can lie down under this TT, which ought to be enough. So, job done. Suspension lifted, right? Right. Well, the thing is, the TT's not really designed for its suspension to operate at this height, believe it or not. I mean, surprise. It's fine while it's sitting on its wheels, but if it picks one up while it goes over a bump or something, all the ball joints are on their limits. Heck, we had to leave a drive shaft out just to get it all together. We need to do some fairly heavy mods to make this thing properly usable at this height, and we're looking forward to it. So if you've liked what you've seen so far, please give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.